A really good childhood. And I even did Santa Claus for 3 years as a give back, try to make kids happy. And I'll tell you what I'm going to do. This is a first on the Chess channel, on the Twitch Chess channel. You've never seen this before. Are you ready? Are you ready for something very special? Okay. Do you know I love Christmas? I was Santa Claus for 3 years. Hold on a second. I don't know whether I can show you. I've even got my Santa certificate. I've got my certificate where I achieved my Santa title. Not only am I a chess master, but I am a trained Santa Claus. That's right. I am a trained Santa Claus. I've got my certificate of Santaship. Right? I went along, I did my course, and I became a Santa. And you have to pass a course to be a good Santa in the major shopping centres in Australia. And I imagine that might be the same overseas too, with the respect of children and respect to their parents and everything else, the way children are treated by Santa. Anyway, what I'd like to give you today is my Santa ho ho ho. Are you ready? Okay. Merry Christmas. Ho 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 ho, boys and girls. There we go. That's my Santa hello or greeting, and I also know the names of all the reindeer. Now I know this is a chess channel, but if I ask you, come on in the chat, who knows the names of all the reindeer? Come on, I'm not going to tell you, because when people are asked this question, they always fall apart. Everyone knows Rudolph, the red-nosed reindeer, right? But who knows the names of all the reindeer, Santa's reindeer? Come on. I want to see the names of Santa's reindeer pop up in the chat. Come on. Oh, you're pretty slow, aren't you? You can only think of Rudolph, can't you? Robert Fox says, he went to the subway the other day. Some teenage girl says, are you grabbing any drinks with that? Grabbing? I said, I'm not grabbing anything. They're strange, aren't they, some of them? Anyway, I'll tell you, it's Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Cupid, Comet, Donner and Blitzen, and Rudolph. There you go. Okay, so now you know the names of all Santa's reindeer. Don't forget, I'm going to quiz you all at Christmas time, right? Robert Fox is still going on about the grabbing. He says, what sort of language is that? What sort of language? Where were they as children raised? Surely Santa would not have approved that. That would have been in the naughty book. And then perhaps Santa wouldn't have given him a Christmas present. Oh, Santa gave him a Christmas present, but they'd be in the naughty book anyway. Anyway, because Santa had a good book and a naughty book, and you had to be. Santa knows who's naughty and nice, right? Is this a chess channel or a Christmas channel? Oh, I love Christmas, right? Blitzen the reindeer sounds like he plays blitz chess. Oh, that's a good one. Which reindeer plays lightning chess? Well, that must be Blitzen, right? Oh. Hands out to Robert Fox for that one. Woohoo! And Cabs. Oh no, sorry, Cabs came up with that one. Robert Fox is still going on about the drinks. Yeah, it's Cabs. So special thank you to Cabs for coming out with the which reindeer plays lightning chess. Which of Santa's reindeer plays lightning chess? I think that'd be a good cover for a video with a picture of a reindeer and Santa's reindeer plays chess. Blitzen plays lightning chess. Something like that. I don't know. I'll think of something. But meanwhile, what I wanted to do today, and I made a special note. No, I've probably lost it, as I usually often lose notes and pieces of paper. I want to introduce you to my favourite female grandmaster player who I saw on Gotham Chess, right? And we're going to look up her name. We're going to go to File, New Tab. We're going to look up her name and we're going to find out as much as we can about this young lady. Charlie Rowlands, good morning. Better be Judith. No, stuff Judith. Here we go. This lady is something special. You just go for the good-looking ones and everything. But this lady is special. She's good-looking too. But this is the lady I'm talking about. I'm talking about Alexandra Kosteniuk. Now, I saw her interviewed on Gotham Chess, and I thought, what a lovely lady. And she's so bright and so intelligent. And I thought, I'm going to have to make a video about her. And this is her playing chess here, you see. And up this morning, what I'm going to do is find out a little bit more about her. Right? It says Alexandra Kosteniuk. In this Eastern Slavic naming convention, the patronymic is Konstantinovna, and the family name is Kosteniuk. Alexandra Konstantinova Kosteniuk. She was a Russian chess grandmaster, and she's women's world chess champion from 2008 to 2010. So we're talking about the women's world chess champion, right? She was European women's champion in 2004 and two-time Russian's women's chess champion in 2005 and 2016. And Kosteniuk won the team medal playing for Russia at the Women's Chess Olympiads of 2010, 2012 and 2014. Okay, so this is one hell of a chess player. So she not only looks good, but my God, can she play chess? Okay. And she's been going ever since she was a little kid, when she was playing in the under 10 years old European Youth Chess Championship. And she won it when she was only 9 years old. So she was something very, very special. A child prodigy. Yeah, so there we go. That's very interesting. So you'll find her on the Wikipedia channel. So I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to go into chess.games.com. I'm going to find out more about her, and I think you guys know I was actually an investigator, a corporate investigator for many years, and so I like to investigate things. And here we go. We're in chessgames.com, and we're looking for players, right? So the player is, oh, no, we won't look at black or white. We're just going to go player, and we're going to look for her. She should be in there under K. So you can go look up any of your favourite grandmasters like this. And this is a teaching thing, right? It's a teaching, you can go through any games. If your favourite grandmaster is Victor Korchnoi, or you want to go back in time and look at the games of Vasily Smyslov, the world chess champion Vasily Smyslov, or go back to the mighty Mikhail Botvinnik, the world chess champion Mikhail Botvinnik, or Mikhail Tal. You want to look at all their games, you just type in the surname and say find chess games, and up will come all the games of your favourite player. And there's another nice photo of her. She was taught the game at the age of 5 by her father Konstantin Vladimirovich Kosteniuk, and her younger sister is a women's FIDE master. So they all seem to be chess players. So here we go. And there's a little biography of her again. So it was in 2008 she scaled the summit of women's chess when she became the 14th Women's World Chess Champion after winning the final of the Women's World Championship against Yifan Hu, I suppose from China, 2.5 to 1.5. She lost her crown. She bowed out in the third round to the finalist Ruan Lufei. She again contested the championship at the FIDE Knockout Women's World Championship in 2012, but lost her second round match to compatriot women's grandmaster Natalia Pogonina and defeated US women's grandmaster Tatev Abrahamian in the first round. She scored 6 out of 8 at the World Team Championship 2017 for Russia's top board, but she came back and won the championship again. So I want to look at one of her games. So what we're going to do is we're going to look at one of the short games, so we're going to find it interesting, and we're going to try to find a little brilliance that she might have played. And we'll look at one of the shorter games. I like those because we get to see how brilliant these players can be. How about a game of Dutch Leningrad, main variation with c6? Dutch Leningrad can be a bit boring. We'll check out the openings here. Here's a 31-move win, Reti opening. I wonder how you could win with the Reti in 31 moves. And let's have a look at the Vienna game, 39 moves. I know a lot of beginners like to play the Vienna game. Yeah, a lot of beginners like to play the Vienna game. So let's have a look at the game Kosteniuk, Pokona, played in 1998 at the Alista Olympiad for women. It's a Vienna game. It's 39 moves long. Is that a bit too long? Well, but we're going to have a look at it anyway. We're going to go back to 1998 and look at her game. Just make sure you can all see the board, and I'm sure you can. And as I say, when you go to chessgames.com and you look up, and this is not an advert for chessgames.com, this is a learning tool where beginners can go in and follow their favourite grandmasters and play through the games. And so Kosteniuk, Alexandra Kosteniuk, is playing the white pieces. And as we know, it's from the Olympiad, the Women's Olympiad in 1998. The Bishop's opening, the Vienna hybrid. And I'm sure lots of beginners have seen this move, Bishop c4. Now, funnily enough, I was looking at Bra Chess or something the other day, and he said, if you want to play chess and get better, don't play this move. And he was talking about Bishop c4. So I contend he's totally wrong. Bra Chess, thumbs down. Alexandra Kosteniuk, Women's World Champion, thumbs up. Right, and now let's have a look. Knight f6 attacks the e-pawn, and this is the main countenance to the Bishop c4 line. d3, just a simple move, just nice little pawn chain, and the old pressure of the, I can't highlight in this, I forgot, I can't highlight here. Yeah, the diagonal to the f7 pawn, and knight c3. So we have a lot of balance in the centre, and white's fighting for those white central squares, particularly the square d5. No one's got a winning advantage at this stage. It's only early days. We've only played 4 moves. Bishop c5, and now black is completing the development by getting the bishop working and preparing to castle. All right. Now, this is an interesting move and shows you the understanding that Alexandra Kosteniuk has of chess. She immediately plays f4 in this position, and no doubt she would be, being a women's grandmaster, she would be well prepared with this particular opening to play such a move in such an important tournament as the Olympiad, because it would be very embarrassing if you lost quickly, wouldn't it? Yeah, so the whole idea is if you play knight to f3 with the idea of casting, you have an equal game and the position could petter out to a draw very easily, a long drawn out draw. And this lady's an attacking player. She's an attacking player. She likes to attack and use her skills of visualization to overwhelm her opponents. And now d6 is played. That's an interesting move. Pawn takes pawn probably couldn't be considered. d6 is the natural move. It develops the bishop on c8, and with the idea of playing knight g5, etc. So she develops her knight quietly and gets a piece working. Now, the problem, you've got to say, well, what are the positives and what are the negatives of white's position? And this is where you have to, if you're playing chess and you're playing one of these openings, I don't recommend a beginner playing f4 and having that black diagonal. You can see that bishop on c5 for black. That diagonal crisscrosses straight through. White cannot castle because he can't castle through check. So I wouldn't advise inexperienced players to play what Alexandra has played. But she's very familiar with the position and she knows what she's doing. Right, so a6 is played. Now, why would you play a6? Well, her opponent is looking at preserving the diagonal. See, white's biggest problem is the black diagonal that's preventing white castling. So if white was to play knight to a4 and try to take off that bishop, then white can castle and have a good game. So that's the move that was being prevented by black when black played a6. And as if to say, okay, Alexandra, I'll try to put on my women's voice here. Okay, Alexandra, what are you going to do now? You can't castle. Okay, right. Well, what does she do? Well, she pushes the pawn past, doesn't she? Now, what that does is that gains space. Now, space is very, very important in chess, right? Also very important with the sun and the moon and the planets. Now, that's outer space. Forget about that one. Right. So, we talk a lot of horse shit here too, you know. But we're talking seriously. Hold on, we're going back to serious chess. Now, the knight goes to a5. White was worried about the bishop on c4. Okay? Now, was the bishop on c4 really the problem at all? No, I don't think it was. I think the real problem, when I assess the position, is the spatial advantage. And I don't think Regina got it right. I think knight a4 is a bad move. I really do. I must admit, she's got a problem. She doesn't know what to do in the position. She doesn't know. She simply doesn't know what to do in the position. But it doesn't look right. It doesn't look right. After f5, white seems to have a hold on the position and possibly already have the advantage. So if we go back one move, a6, and we look at this position, perhaps the correct move in this position is pawn takes pawn. I wish I had the chess engine to, it's got engine. Go away. There's a little engine sign there. You can click the engine sign. But anyway, the point is, I'm wondering whether pawn takes pawn is a better move. Analysis, e takes f4. It says analysis, but nothing comes up. I think this might be a better move, even though white concedes, black concedes that this dissipates the spatial advantage by playing pawn takes pawn. I think that's probably the correct move. She was probably frightened of d4 or something, but there's nothing to it, really. It's like a King's Gambit variation of some sort. It's a different type of game. But if we go back here, I want to take this, I'm going to go back to the beginning. I'm going to go back here. Yeah, after f5, d6. d6 was natural. Why couldn't black take the pawn here? d4. Either way, it's a different game, and Alexandra would have been happy with that type of game. This a6, I'm not happy about that move. I'll tell you what else I like. I like bishop to g4. Trouble is the knight on f6. I do like pawn takes pawn and bishop to g4 for black. Try to be a bit more dynamic in the position, because I can foresee the problems with this a6 pawn there and the spatial advantage. Now, I reckon in this position, white will just play queen to e2 or something to that effect. No, moves the bishop back. Not worried about the bishop. Now her opponent knows that the bishop's not going anywhere. She doesn't waste her time taking the bishop. She says, well, okay, Alexandra, what are you going to do now? I'm threatening d5. Well, she plays queen to e2, my move, but she plays it one move later. Okay, she doesn't want her pawn structure disrupted. Well, fair enough. Good on you, Alexandra. Knight takes bishop. Take towards the centre. She knows what she's doing. She's experienced. And now, the castle looks a natural move, but my God, I can envisage the pawn going to g4 and all sorts of things. Maybe even white castling queenside. It could look pretty deadly. See, black can't castle queenside. Black staying king in the middle, piggy in the middle, saying, well, come and get me, baby. I'm not going to make it easy for you. So now she just decides to change bishops. And rightly so, her knights are very well placed, and she's completing her development and just saying, well, I'm going to get my space, and now she can castle. Aha! And so she does. Now the knight attacks the bishop. There's a simple threat. Knight takes bishop and bishop to c5, pinning the queen against the king. Okay? And black would then gain probably some sort of dynamic equality. Now, when you look at a position like this, one thing that you've got to observe is that the pawns on the queen side, on black's queen side, are weak. Because, as the world chess champion once said, pawns can't go backwards. And the pawn phalanx, or the pawn structure on white squares on the black queen side, and I'm talking about pawn on a6 and c6 and b5, there's two base pawns, right, to a pawn phalanx. It doesn't look very good. It's like a little fianchetto position, except it's not a fianchetto position on the original square. They're actually, the pawns are advanced one. The further the pawns move forwards, they either become stronger or weaker. And most of the time, where there's no chance of queening or dynamic piece play, then the pawns are usually weaker for the endgame the more advanced that they are, because they can be picked off by the enemy, especially if they come in close to your territory. Okay, so bishop d2 is played, and Alexandra says, well, I'm going to preserve my white squared bishop. Why would Alexandra do this? Well, I'll tell you why. And I've explained this too before in videos. The reason she chooses this move is because all her pawns are on white squares. Alexandra's got 8 pawns. 6 of them are on white squares, okay? So that means if she's got a bishop, she's got her bishop on a black squared bishop, is the best bishop, best minor piece she could possibly have. So why would she want the black knight to take off her beautiful bishop? Okay. So the check comes. The check is played. And Alexandra moves to the corner. Queen c7. I'm sure that when they analyse this position, h5 had to be considered, but as a move, h5 had to be considered. Anyway, h3 is played. h5 not only considered, it's actually played. So I was right. I could see that coming, as any FIDE master should be able to see it coming. Now, queen to e1. What Alexandra is doing here is she's controlling black squares. Now she controls the f7 square by moving the queen there. She controls the g3 square, okay? And the reason why she plays queen e1 is because now she's actually threatening to take the knight. See, if pawn takes knight, pawn takes pawn, in this position here, okay, if white was to take the knight, pawn takes pawn back check, there's only one move, knight to h2, and then g6 wins. And checkmate looks like it's going to come, okay? So that's why Alexandra plays queen here. So now she might be threatening to take the knight. Let's have a look. The knight retreats. The knight must have been threatened. And now what does she do? She plays knight to f6, queen to g3. Right, so now Alexandra puts her queen on an active square, attacking the pawns, the pawn structure of the black position. Not only that, have a look at white's position where the two castles are nice and clear at the back, and they can go this square or that square. There's choice. The more choice that you have in chess positions, the more powerful your position is, because you have options. Do I go this way? Do I go that way? Do I create a little fire over this side of the board and a little fire over that side of the board? So my opponent's trying to douse the fire on this side of the board and douse the fire, this mini attack on the other side of the board. Okay, so Alexandra has achieved space, and she's achieved position, and she's achieved positional dominance in the game. At this stage, white is winning, and I'd say winning fairly clearly. Hasn't got material advantage yet, but positional advantage is often converted to material advantage. Just remember those words. Positional advantage is often converted to material advantage. You just keep building up your position until the opponent cracks. Okay, so rook g8 is played, and that's a very defensive move, but probably necessary in the position. Okay, probably necessary. And now we can see that there's Alexandra has taken advantage of the pawn structure, the weak pawn structure on the queen side. Really, the opponent's a bit frightened to make any more pawn moves, lest they become totally messy. And now we just see how she proceeds to build her position. So she puts her rook. She says, well, my rook's not doing anything on the A file. It might be able to do something later. I can always move it back, but I'm just going to protect my central pawns. Right? Because black's only move to break through is d5. And she recognises this. And bishop b7 is played. And now I'd say black is prepared to castle queenside. Why castle queenside? Where there's a lot of pieces over on the queenside. And then black can say, Regina per corner, she can say, well, okay, Alexandra. Oh, sorry, I'll put my voice back on. Okay, Alexandra, what are you going to do now? And funnily enough, in chess, when opponents castle on opposite sides of the board, we have a lot of conflict can erupt. Though black's position is not conducive to a big breakout. It's more about holding solid. So bishop g5 is played and she castles. Okay. There's a problem with the position. Can you identify the problem that white has with this position? Okay, let's have a look. Queen to h4. The simple threat is bishop takes knight and queen takes pawn. Well, would you take the f pawn or would you take the h pawn? Well, I believe that she would be really threatening to take the f pawn and hit and run, because her pawn structure would then protect the white king, and then perhaps she could then work out later on how to proceed and build up her position all over again to make a final assault on the opponent's position or grind them down with a pawn up. And that's what a lot of masters do. They might play the opening and win one precious pawn and then consolidate the position. Yeah, not just straight away go for it, but the real skilled players consolidate their position with the pawn up and then build it up so that there's momentum in their position with the extra material, and then after they convert, they then build the position, move forwards, and finally win at the end. Right, so it can be a long, drawn-out process. Queen e7. What Alexandra's opponent's saying here is, in this position, if you take the knight, your queen could get trapped, right? For instance, if bishop takes knight, pawn takes queen, takes pawn, rook hits queen, and then the other rook comes over on the g file and the queen's trapped. So you can't win a pawn here. Now it does look like you can. You can't. Right? So bishop takes knight, pawn takes, and if queen takes the h-pawn, the rook will hit the queen. The queen will have one square, and then the other rook would come over and trap the queen. So you cannot take the h-pawn. So how do you proceed in this position? Rook to e2. Okay. So is this a waiting move? Why are we playing a move like rook to e2? What's the idea behind it? Well, the idea is simple. It's just tying the black position down to make sure black is constricted. Black can't do anything. It's almost moving. She's thought, well, I can't break through. What I'm going to try to do is I'm trying to place my pieces in such good positions that my opponent will eventually get in zugzwang. That's right, in zugzwang. And not only that, perhaps the knight could be rerouted to a stronger square. Which knight? The knight on c3. Let's have a look and see what happens. So rookie h8 is played. That's an overly defensive move. Bishop takes knight was not a threat. But I suppose in this position, black really doesn't know what to do. Remember, I did tell you that with these types of positions, that the whole idea is to try to get them in like a total zugzwang position. Zugzwang is a German word for those that don't know, and zugzwang is when you've got a certain chess position. If you make that move, you lose. You make that move, you lose. If you push a pawn, you lose this way or you lose that way. That's called zugzwang, right? So we were right. The rook was moved up, so the knights can move around and go hippity hoppity horsey. Now, White's secured the E file, and now considering putting her pieces on better squares. And she's got a plan. Let's have a look and see what her plan is. So rook to E8, because it's a bit of a hidden plan. There we go. So the plan is to push pawns up a little bit and grab key squares. There we go. And now knight to F2. So you can see what's happening here. She's just manoeuvring. She's doing a lot of manoeuvring here. A lot of manoeuvring going on. Now the knight goes back. You know what? That knight wasn't so bad on F6 because it couldn't be captured. So it makes you wonder what's going on here. Yeah, so it looks like she's trying to break through in the middle now. She decided, I'm not going to wait. I've got a pawn extra. I'm going to use my extra pawn and I'm going to try to break through the middle. I've built up all my pieces, which she has. Her two knights, her two castles. Everything is centered on the center. Centered on the center. Well, it is. Okay, F6. Chase your bishop away. And the bishop goes to E3. Now, that's an interesting move. Because now you can't take the pawn off with the D pawn because the bishop's pinned. It looks like a bad move, frankly. But I think she's got the plan of knight to D3. Oh, she can play pawn takes pawn. She might be threatening pawn takes pawn. Yes, pawn takes pawn. And she's trying to, remember, what she's trying to do now is she's just trying to build a position. Pawn takes pawn. Yes, she wants to eliminate that bishop. Why would you want to eliminate that bishop? Okay, I can tell you why. Because once that bishop goes, right, who controls the open file? White controls the open file. White would ideally like to get a pawn on B4 and a knight on C5. Because that would be deadly. The queen moves back one, threatens a G pawn. Yeah, you can't afford to lose the G pawn. The whole position would collapse. Okay. So it protects it. Doubles the rooks. Who's got control of the open file? Rook to E2. Knight to H4. The knight's threatening to come in and attack two castles. Can you see how White's pieces are all coordinated much better than Black's pieces? Rook there. Knight hits rook, and now look at this. The rook's trapped forever. That is just murder. Murder on the Orient Express. Knight to D3. Now the threat is knight to C4. Now B4 will be played more than likely soon enough. No, knight hits bishop. The threat now is rook hits queen wins. Knight takes knight. Pawn. Oh, knight. Oh, a Zug. And what is a Zug? A Zug is an in-between move. Okay, so let's go back and look at this position here. In this position, the normal move, one would think, is pawn takes knight and the rook must move. But a Zug is when you see a good move, look for a better move. And now knight here threatens a queen, but it also threatens checkmate down the back. Right, so that is the end of the game, really. That is a monster. I can only say that poor old Regina Picorna had defended valiantly against Alexandra Kosteniuk, who outplayed her positionally and structurally, and basically this was the end of the game. So queen d7 is played. Well, the two rooks are on the queen, so it's just rook takes, and king takes. And now the whole idea is if pawn takes knight, well, you can play king takes knight, and you're still in the game. But knight to c5 check is a bit of a killer. Hold on, she's found a better move. Now there's no defence. King c7 allows queen d8 checkmate. So you can't play king c7. So you must, resigns. And the reason being is after king here, queen can go check here, the king can go here, and the queen can check here, and the king must go here, right? It's forced. And then comes queen takes pawn checkmate, right? So Alexandra Kosteniuk, what a wonderful player. I'm very, very happy to have shared this game with you of one of my favourite players, okay? But I'm going to highlight her name and edit, copy. I'm going to go into edit, paste, and I hope there's an interview with her. And I'll tell you how delightful she is. So this is an interview with her. So I'm going to go in here, we're going to have a look at this interview, and you'll see what a delightful person she is. I hope you enjoy this interview.
Alexandra Kosteniuk, thanks a lot. You are here like in your second home, right?
Yes, we can say so, because I have a Swiss citizenship, so it's always a pleasure for me to come here to Switzerland to play or just to visit.
How often have you played in Lausanne?
Well, actually, for the first time, I came to this exact place 20 years ago, almost 20 years ago, in May 2000. I gave a simultaneous exhibition here in the Olympic Museum together with Ruslan Ponomarev at that time, and I also met the former IO International Olympic Committee president,
She's nervous.
Mr. Samaranch. I gave him a chess set, and I also gave him my work on Pierre de Coubertin, because I studied, at that time, I studied at the Russian State University of Physical Education, and we studied very profoundly the Olympic movement, the ancient and the history of the ancient Olympic Games and the modern Olympic Games. And so I presented him this report, and it was a very nice meeting. And actually, Samaranch was in favor of adding chess to the Olympic Games, but unfortunately, the president.
As you know, Juan Antonio Samaranch was the man that opened up our Australian Sydney Olympics when he said, and the winner is Sydney, when we had our Olympics.
And we're still not in this Olympic family, but we have our own Olympiad, so I think it's okay.
So many fond memories from here and anything linked to this. So you're going to add another good memories to your Lausanne visits by winning perhaps this event?
Well, I don't know. You remember, I mean, our interview before Monaco. I mean, I always think that, I always prepare myself that it can go either way, because the Grand Prix events are very... Well, the strongest chess players play, and it means that you will not have a rest day.
So she's very humble, but in actual fact, she is the best. That's how she became Women's World Chess Champion. She is the best. She's a humble young lady.
If you lose a game, there's going to be another opponent who just wants to win against you as much as the previous one, or what. So I mean, I don't know what to expect.
And that's really all about when you beginners play in tournaments, whether it be online tournaments or cross-board tournaments. You always have to be prepared to take a loss, and you don't know what's around the corner. You don't know whether you're going to run into a prepared variation. And as good as you might be, even a women's world chess champion, you can come up against somebody who's got a prepared line, and you can be lost and suffer an ignominious defeat. It's happened to me in Australian championships that occasionally I come up against somebody and they've done their research, they play some critical line that they've prepared, they rattle off all the moves because they're totally familiar with them, and you're in deep, dark territory. And that's what she's talking about. She's being a bit humble, though I think that she'd be able to navigate her way out of almost any position being a women's world chess champion.
As usual, I just try, to play good. If I play chess well, if I find good moves, then it goes well. But, well, as usual, we'll see.
Well, I remember our interview in Monaco, and indeed it brought you some luck since you won that event in Monaco. So I wish you all the best for here as well.
Thank you.
Well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and in particular, my little tribute to the great Alexandra Kosteniuk, the women's world chess champion. And please thumbs up if you like my YouTube video, because I'm going to put this on YouTube, and please subscribe to my YouTube. I'm now streaming live on Twitch Chess, and I'm going to put in my link to YouTube on Twitch Live, so people can go into YouTube and watch this live. And my address on Twitch and YouTube is just simply FM John Curtis Chess. So without further ado, we are going to go back into livechess.com, and what we'll do is we'll play one game of chess. We'll turn back on the music. We're going to have